Really interesting ruling today, and one that we might disagree on. Drums. Jordan, tell us about it.
The Supreme Court ruled today that cities can punish people experiencing homelessness for sleeping in public, even if that city does not have any beds in shelters available to them. The 6-3 ruling, with justices splitting along ideological lines, overturns a lower court's decision which deemed anti-public encampment laws cruel and unusual punishment. The dispute arose from Grants Pass, a town of about 40,000 people in the foothills of southern Oregon. After residents complained of people sleeping in alleyways and property damage downtown, city leaders enforced a series of local ordinances that banned sleeping in public spaces. The town had no homeless shelter aside from one run by a religious organization that required, among other rules, attendance at Christian services. Now, the several hundred homeless residents in Grants Pass who are unable to secure access in the town's one religious shelter are subject to fines and up to 30 days in jail. Writing for the majority, Justice Neil Gorsuch argued the penalties are perfectly acceptable. Such punishments do not qualify as cruel because they are not designed to inflict terror, pain, or disgrace. Nor are they unusual because similarly limited fines and jail terms have been and remain among the usual modes for punishing criminal offenses throughout the country. Indeed, cities and states across the country have long employed similar punishments for similar offenses. Justice Sonia Sotomayor fired back in a scathing dissent, writing, "Sleep is a biological necessity, not a crime. For some people, sleeping outside is their only option. The city of Grants Pass jails and fines those people for sleeping anywhere in public at any time, including their cars, if they use as little as a blanket to keep warm or a rolled up shirt as a pillow. For people with no access to shelter, that punishes them for being homeless. That is unconscionable and unconstitutional." She continues, "Criminalizing homelessness can cause a destabilizing cascade of harm. Rather than helping people to regain housing, obtain employment, or access needed treatment and services, criminalization creates a costly revolving door that circulates individuals experiencing homelessness from the street to the criminal justice system and back." And of course, this upset advocates and organizations who work to end homelessness. And Olivia, chief executive of the National Alliance to End Homelessness, told the Los Angeles Times, "At a time when elected officials need to be focused on long-term, sustainable solutions that are grounded in evidence, including funding the affordable housing and supportive services that their constituents need, this ruling allows leaders to shift the burden to law enforcement. This tactic has consistently failed to reduce homelessness in the past, and it'll assuredly fail to reduce homelessness in the future." We might disagree, but Cenk, I'm curious what you make of this decision.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what to make of it because on the one hand, and I'm really curious what you guys think, because on the one hand, I think like Eighth Amendment, really like the argument from the liberal justices is that it's cruel and unusual punishment. That's usually reserved for torture. So it's torture to say you can't sleep in the park? I don't know that it is, okay? And then if the cops can't move out homeless folks from any public area, does that mean we have to cede all of our public parks to homeless people, cede all of our public areas, and that's it? The public areas are now only for homeless people, because that's what's gonna happen. So, and it's not their fault. I'm not like a weirdo right-winger who like hates homeless people. I have great sympathy for them, right? And I wanna help them. And I think that some portions of the left think, oh, just leaving them out in the street is helping them because of freedom. I don't believe that at all. I would do involuntary, confinement, not confinement to like imprison them, but to help them, to get them some mental health if they need the mental health treatment, if they've got an addiction issue, help them with addiction. I don't know why the two options are we beat the living crap out of them and stuff them in like dungeons, or we don't do anything and we just let them die in the streets and the public parks. So that gets to the overall issue. But in terms of this, just real question to both of you guys. Let's start with Mondale. Mondale, if the liberal justices are right here, Does that mean that we can't stop homeless folks from taking over parks and that's it? All the parks are like, help me understand it.
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
I think what happens with the I think the Eighth Amendment argument is the torture part is sleep is a necessity, and I think that's why she started with that. So to tell the people that are homeless or without houses that they cannot sleep is torture, and we know that using people sleep depravity is something that people use in torture. So I get that argument, and for me, I really do think that it is torture simply because we have the capacity to end homelessness immediately. Not like 10 years from now. We can actually end it right now, just like we could with poverty if we were serious about it. So I think a government, and in this case, the city government is not trying to do anything to address homelessness because the only shelter is ran by a Christian facility that requires you to be a Christian basically to attend. So that government is not trying to address the homeless problem they have. So that is cruel. And if the city had a bunch of empty beds that they were providing this homeless population, then I would say, okay, I understand what you're saying. Go to one of these bedding facilities and sleep there. But that's not an option. So you're telling these people you cannot sleep. You can be homeless as long as you're walking around or sitting up with your eyes open. And that to me is torture.
I don't know, Jordan, like if I'm homeless and the Christian folks are gonna take me in and they say, like even if they said to me, you gotta say Jesus is awesome, I'd be like, Jesus is awesome because he's providing me a bed. So you tell me, brother, okay, what am I missing?
You're missing that wasn't sufficient, that there weren't enough beds even at that one facility. So to go back to your earlier point, and I think Mondale said it best, within Sotomayor's dissent, of course, sleep deprivation is a form of torture, but it's not that the torture is that they can't sleep in the park like you framed it. I think the premise, your setup was wrong. It's that you're punishing people who already have one of the most miserable existences in this country. And it is a purely avoidable circumstance. The remedy is not letting them sleep in the park, and it's not about freedom. Gorsuch, in his opinion, framed it that way, and I think it's totally disingenuous. No one's saying it's their freedom to sleep out there. It's that we shouldn't be punishing people. We shouldn't be doing encampment sweeps with the cops. The problem is that we're responding to a public health problem and a problem where social services are needed with policing. And you see this in cities who just across the board funnel billions of dollars, hundreds of millions or billions of dollars into their police departments and say, okay, go fix every problem. Well, LA is doing it slightly different now, and I don't think this is the best example. I have a better example, but Karen Bass wanted to put more money into addressing the homelessness problem in this country, in this city. Just this week, we saw a report in the Los Angeles Times. Homelessness went down by 10.4% since last year, with an increased investment in addressing that in the city of Los Angeles. It was just in the Times 2 days ago. In Denver, 800 people who are experiencing homelessness were given universal basic income. By the 10-month mark, 45% of people who were in that program, in that study, found permanent housing, and the city saved $589,000 that would have been spent by the city to treat people, to put them in jail, to provide ambulances if they had a medical emergency, need to go to the hospital. It is more cost effective to take care of people, even just to give them a universal basic income so they can get their own housing, than it is to continue to criminalize homelessness in this country.
So Jordan, I don't disagree with any of your proposals. In fact, I enthusiastically agree. And in Houston, decreased homelessness, I think, by about 40% when they just started doing some amazing programs to reduce bureaucracy, get them the help quicker. Utah did the program where they built homes. I'm down for all those programs. I'm not just like casually down. I want us to actively do those things so we have less homeless folks, because that's great for them, great for us. Everybody's a winner, right? That's a super reasonable way to go. But a lot of you do disagree with me. I want to read just 2 member comments here and then ask you guys one more question. Doc Wagon OG on Twitch said, damn it, Cenk, readjust your ideas of cruel and unusual by your standard. we've always looked at it as X, then we would still be using similar arguments for Jim Crow laws and other old world viewpoints. I hear you, Doc, and I love when you guys disagree. There's nothing wrong with it. We're a rare show that encourages our members to disagree. We have actual human conversations among the hosts, etc. And so, no, I believe in the times changing and adjusting, absolutely. I don't think that's the issue, but we'll come back, one sec. And then in our member section, K-Dragon Battling for Truth and Justice says, Cenk is wrong on this one. As the justice said, sleep is a physiological necessity, not allowing them to sleep where they can is cruel and unusual in my view. Okay, so, and by the way, become a member at tyt.com/team, then you're part of our team. You're kind of one of the hosts and you're making these points. And we need your help, plus we do this together. tyt.com/team, and we'll have the link down below too. But guys, it still doesn't answer the question of, okay, so if the liberal justices are right, does that mean that homeless folks can sleep in any park and there's nothing you could do about it? Because that would mean the public parks are gone, like if we're being honest about it.
No.
I think the framing of that question is off in that, yes, homeless people should be able to sleep in any park, especially in places where you're not doing enough. And the city is one of them. This is a rich city. 79% of the jobs are white collar jobs. They make the average household income is around $69,000, and the average household size is 2 people. They only have 16,000 houses. So if you do 2 times 16, that ain't even enough housing to support the people that live there. So if you're looking at this as a crisis, it's a city manufactured crisis. Why aren't you building enough houses to support the people there? So why aren't we punishing the city and the people that are allowing folk to develop these nice, massive houses instead of houses that can support the population? I think it is an absolute crime, and also it is a right for homeless people to be able to sleep wherever they can if we're not addressing the problems.
I think, yeah, housing is part of it. It is a multi-pronged approach, because there are some people who are experiencing homelessness who the solution for them might be beyond just finding stable housing. It might be treatment, it might be rehab, it could be a variety of different things. So if you really wanted to address the problem, again, I think your framing is inaccurate. It's not that they should be able to sleep in any park they want, because if they really had the resources, they wouldn't do that. The people who are in that situation certainly don't want to. If there was an encampment, maybe they want to find community, just like a vast majority of this country who lives in towns or cities because they want to be around other people. It's an isolating experience if you are living on the street. So of course you would gravitate toward people in a similar circumstance. If we really wanted to address the problem, of course the solution is not, here, take any park you want, we have no public parks. It's how can we, to Mondale's point, build more housing? How can we provide more housing? How can we provide the resources? How can we provide treatment? How can we continue to invest in our social safety net programs that treat people? And while Los Angeles did see that 10.4% year-over-year reduction in homelessness, in this current budget request, Karen Bass is proposing an increase of $300 to $400 million for LAPD, increasing their budget from $3.4 billion in 1 year to $3.7 billion, while proposing a cut of $65 million in her Inside Safe, her signature plan for addressing homelessness. So even though they saw a decent gain in 1 year, we're already seeing cuts to this program in favor of an increased budget and monetary allocation to LAPD.
Yes, but at the end of the day, either they get to sleep in the park or they don't. And what I would say is, look, because all those things are true, guys. Like no one on this show is like, oh, let's just beat them up and send them over to the next town. So I guess as a compromise, I would propose, even though probably a lot of you will disagree, that prison's not the option. But if you say, here's a shelter, here's a mental health facility, and here's an addiction facility, you gotta pick one, but it's not optional, right? So it's, no, you don't get to take all the parks, and then we call, I don't wanna like straw man it. So I'll drop the freedom thing, okay? But there's gotta be a bounds of reason as to what we're going to do here. And just saying, okay, just sleep there, and it also becomes an excuse not to help them, because we don't have those things, right? And we never build those things. So if we had it mandated as a law that those are your 3 options, maybe we would build them. But yes, at some point you have to say, sorry, but you don't have the option of I sleep wherever I want. As long as we give them real humane options that will help them. So that's my take. You heard Jordan and Mondale's take, and obviously, unlike everybody else in media, we're not forcing you to have any opinion. You have any opinion you like. You heard all the facts here. Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below, because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.